Bloodthief is a weird game. Our main character starts with nothing but a sword and the goal of killing people, taking their blood, and then parkouring to the finish line. The blood you get from enemies can be used for a lot of different moves. Sliding, jumping, ground slamming, and the most important move, air dashing. So here's the question. Can you beat Bloodthief without ever touching a drop of blood? Let's start with level 1. To help if you've never played Bloodthief, I'm going to run through the levels normally first, collecting as much blood as I want to show you where potential problems could arise, and then we'll see if we can deal with those problems later. We start in this large courtyard, and are given our first introduction into wall jumping. We round the corner to find our first enemy. This is a sword enemy. He will run at you relentlessly until you leave the platform he's on, if he sees you. There are other enemy types that I'll address later when we get to them. We continue onwards, finding 4 more sword enemies, and our first blood vial. These are collectible objects that give you 2 ticks worth of blood in our blood meter. Most of them won't be hard to dodge, but they do present a challenge in avoiding gaining any blood. We slide down a platform to find a large ramp with 3 soldiers on it. Taking them out and progressing to the next area, we have our first real roadblock, an arena door. These doors are locked and won't open unless we kill all the enemies in the preceding room. So is that it? Is the run over? Not quite. I have a few tricks up my sleeve that I'll show you later. After dealing with the enemies in the arena, the door opens, revealing a new enemy type, archers. These guys are capital A annoying. The thing that makes them so difficult is that they don't shoot at where you are, they shoot at where you're going. At low speeds, this is easy enough to dodge, but if you start going fast, it becomes hard to change course quick enough to dodge the arrows. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Blood is also our health bar. If I get hit a single time throughout the run, I die. Now back to the level. We deal with the archers and slide down another ramp, landing on a new platform. There are several archer towers here, all leading up to the next level. This is the introduction to the air dash ability I mentioned earlier. The only problem is, you can only air dash with blood. Another problem to solve. We get to the next platform to find another arena door. We have to kill 4 archers located across this room to proceed. Do you see the obstacles piling up? After this room is dealt with, the next room is also arena locked, but this door leads to the end of the level. We take out any of the remaining enemies, kill the final 3 behind the last door, and the level's over. So let's recap. We have several enemies, jars of blood, archers, 3 locked doors, and a section where you have to use the air dash, an ability you can only use if you have blood. It seems a little hopeless right now, so let's do another run and try to go fully bloodless this time. We'll see how far we actually make it. To make it slightly easier on myself, I'm going to equip the final sword you can get in the game, which you can figure out how to obtain by watching my 100% secrets guide, linked in the description. The sword gives us much better control over our bodies in the air, which will be necessary to avoid arrows and dodge traps. Our starting test is getting past the first enemy. Luckily, as I mentioned, he only alerts when he sees you, so just wall running past him is enough. The enemies can sometimes go slightly faster than your walk speed, so trying to stay on the ground isn't recommended. We dodge the blood vial on our way down and slide past the enemies. Here's the first seemingly insurmountable hurdle. How do we get through the first arena door? We can't kill the enemies. Well, it's simple. We take the secret path. That's right, the game hides some secret paths that the player has to go out of their way to find. The only problem is, see that floating chalice on the center of that wood? It maxes out your blood meter and gives you super speed. The super speed would be nice, but the blood is a non-starter. The main issue now is that the wooden platform won't raise until the chalice is picked up. I honestly thought this would be a major setback, until I realized you could just wall jump up to the exit and the door opens for you. By getting through that section, we find ourselves in the Archer Tower Air Dash section. This one is pretty tough. The archers are brutally accurate sometimes, and while I may be able to brute force my way through this one somehow, we can find a better way. By climbing up the wall, we can just run along the castle ramparts, build up some speed, and jump to the final platform. Now here's where the real issue begins. There is no secret path inside this room. There is an arena door that will only open if we kill all the enemies in this room. We're going to need a different way to approach this part of the level. If we think outside the lines again, like we did for the last section, We find a nice platform off to the left of the entryway we were just at. By climbing the wall here, we find ourselves on the roof of the building. We can even see the arena door clipping through the roof here. There are spikes all over the place, which will kill us instantly. But if we can avoid them, we can find what we're looking for. Do you remember what you saw as I entered the final door in the first run? That's right, the sky. The exit door opens to the outside. By maneuvering around the building to the back side, we can enter the exit from that side, skipping all the killing. If you're wondering what that purple thing is, I turned on a feature that allows me to see the ghosts of other players to more easily find the exit, since the back wall is very dark. By successfully navigating here, level 1 has been beaten without ever touching a drop of blood. Let's head to level 2. I'm going to run through it normally again, pointing out the obstacles on our way. This level really emphasizes teaching slide momentum. By sliding after gaining speed, you can conserve that speed into your next movement. This can be done very basically without blood, but to get to high speed, you need to kill or find a blood jar. After sliding down some ramps, we find ourselves immediately at a new obstacle, closing spike walls. The intended method for this is to perform an air dash attack and slide immediately afterwards to continue moving fast. However, without blood, we can't perform an air dash, nor will our slides have speed. We end up at a large pool of lava, where we have to air dash to an enemy on the other side of the lava to get ourselves across. We then reach another moving spike hallway. After this is a wall jump section with a lone swordsman and a few archers shooting from above. We keep moving forwards, entering a small tunnel with 2 sets of 3 guards around corners, before jumping into a hole to end the level. This one's pretty short. Now I doubt I need to explain how troublesome some of these challenges are. There's another layer to the challenges as well. Those spiked walls, even if I somehow manage to survive, if the guy inside dies, I get blood as credit for the kill, which means I have to beat the entire level without ever triggering the spiked walls. That's easier said than done. Take this run for instance. I had successfully made it to almost the end of the level when I randomly got awarded blood. Confused, I checked the area, only to find that the swordsman from the first hallway had chased me into spikes and killed himself. Not even the cleanest of runs are safe. Looks like we'll have to use our crazy wall skills to solve this problem once again. By climbing over the entire building, you can bypass the entire thing. Once you get to the lava room, it's as simple as wall running and then dodging the guy on the other side. The issue here is he will keep chasing you until you progress forward, but the next challenge is another spiked wall. Luckily, we know how to handle those. Up and over. The next area's challenge comes primarily from avoiding vials of blood placed at the spots you're most likely to jump. If you can successfully avoid the blood jars, dodge the archers, and make it around the corner, you're basically home free. By wall running past the soldiers in the tunnel, you can easily make it to the end of this level without any real difficulty. Level 2, beaten. On to level 3, this one is a solid spike in difficulty. The level starts simply enough. A locked door tells us to go for a swim, leading us into the moat next to the door. After smashing through a door and some boxes, we find 2 enemies waiting for us. In the next room, a blood jar waits to be picked up in the middle of the large area. The door at the end of the room will not open unless this jar is collected. Past these enemies, we come to one of the most frustrating areas in the game. There are swordsmen and archers everywhere here, and we won't be able to kill a single one. Our goal is to collect 2 keys from 2 different wings of the map, a copper key from one wing and an emerald key from another. The end door for this map will only open when you have collected both keys, and it doesn't open to the outside. The copper key is only guarded by 2 swordsmen, with the rest of the challenge just being maintaining enough speed to traverse the platforms without falling in the lava. The emerald key is different. It's guarded by several archers, requiring you to perform air dashes to reach the upper levels of this room. Once both keys are obtained, the final door opens and we can exit the level. Let's tackle the problems one at a time. A minor one to start, but by going to the top left side of the castle instead of through the moat, we can sneak in through a window and slip by the initial 2 guards undetected. That leaves us with the blood jar and a door that won't open unless we collect it. This room is devoid of exits, except from one. A window placed pretty high up the wall leads to outside. With some tactical jumping skills, we're able to escape the map entirely. We're in no man's land now, so we have to tread somewhat cautiously. Things out here can suddenly lack collision, leading us to falling in the void. We have two options from here, the right path or the left path. Let's start with the right. With a bit of climbing skills, we come to overlook the Copper Keys area. By jumping onto the Copper Keys platform, we're able to collect it without any major issues. And as a bonus, the guards aren't even alerted because we didn't come through the door. What luck! At least, it was, until I realized the door doesn't open from this side. I tried to climb out of the room, but the walls are just too slanted and too tall to get any real traction to escape. So, the right path is out. Let's try the left. Climbing the left path leads to the Emerald Keys area. If we move all the way to the end of the room, we can skip the entire air dash section and collect the Emerald Key, heading straight for the exit door. Only, it won't open either. I could maybe make it out of this room with properly timed jumps, but it wouldn't matter if I can't make it to the inner chamber with the exit door. I actually almost stopped recording. Until a user in the Bloodthief Discord told me that they were able to get the checkpoint next to the key, which triggered the inner door to open. I tried it myself, and it worked. Our lucky break has arrived. That doesn't make the journey any easier though. Now that the inner door is open, a few things need to happen relatively quickly. I need to get through the narrow hallway without getting hit by the swordsman or any archers. I then have to get around the room without getting shot, make it to the Copper Key door, get the Copper Key, and make it to the exit, all without getting hit once. Should be simple enough. And just like that, level 3 Bloodless has been completed. Level 4 is by far the most frustrating level in this challenge. The level starts simply enough with a few hallway traversals, some enemies, and a new obstacle. This is a blood floor. If you touch it, it will give you blood. For a run all about not collecting blood, it might as well be lava. We enter a room nearly covered in this new flooring, with an archer shooting at us from above. With blood, it's as simple as air dashing up to him, but without blood, it'll be a little harder. After the archer is another long blood floor, 2 more enemies, and a lava room. We collect a key to open the next door and find 4 enemies waiting for us. Put a pin in these enemies because they will come up multiple times later. After this is another room with various enemies and lava, along with another archer. There are also spikes along the wall here, making wall running impossible. We have to collect an emerald key guarded by 3 swordsmen and make it up to the ledge above the key. We emerge back in the same room we had been in before with the pinned enemies I had told you to remember, and go down a new hallway. This place is Archer Central. We have to navigate a zigzag hallway with archers shooting at us with a lava floor. After this, we fall down into a dark hole to find more enemies waiting for us. Beyond these enemies is our worst nightmare. A single archer sat beneath a spiked ceiling that closes once we go through it. If you remember back to level 2, enemies that die by spikes award us the blood of the kill, meaning we either have to get this guy out of the danger zone or find a different way around. Beyond this is a very large room with 5 archers, concealing a hole to drop into the final zone. This zone is also our worst nightmare. Walls on a timer raised to reveal more and more enemies until it reveals that the exit is an arena door. All of the enemies in this room will have to die before this door opens and the level ends. I'm going to jump right into Bloodless just to let you see for yourself the issues. Let's get the easy things out of the way first. Wall running still works against basic enemies, so dodging the first few sets is simple enough. The enemies in this room can be a bit tricky, especially since we don't have an empowered slide, and if you aren't fast enough, they can kill you. Wall running over the enemy in the hallway and dodging the blood floors is enough to get by until we reach the archer room. This guy is so annoying. This archer is the epitome of shooting where you're going instead of where you are. As you wall run, his arrows will sometimes be ahead of you, forcing you to change directions to avoid them. Getting past him, we have to wall jump the second we get into the next room. Not only to avoid the blood floor immediately inside, but also because the archer will still be shooting at us from behind, so we have to clear the doorway fast. Once we're through here, we can take a small shortcut through the painting to the right into a secret area to dodge the two enemies ahead. Getting the key is still simple, and now we enter the hardest area of this level. I'm going to cover a few things that would theoretically have to happen in order for any of this level to be doable. Number 1. We have to avoid the next 4 enemies, making it inside the door and dodging the archer up ahead. Number 2. Successfully make the jumps required to reach the next platform without running out of stamina or getting shot by the archer. Number 3. Get the emerald key without dying or having the enemies here die by falling lava. Number 4. Remember how I told you to put a pin in these enemies? Well, here's where that pin comes in. If you don't clear this room before proceeding, the enemies will be waiting for you when you come back around, and they're waiting right behind the door. If you load the checkpoint here, they disappear. That might sound like an easy win, but that also destroys the competitive integrity I want in this challenge. Meaning, if at any point I die, I restart the entire level. Number 5. Navigate the zigzag hallway without getting shot a single time or running out of stamina while climbing through the maze. Number 6. Make it through the lava room and down into the tunnel. I ran this section over and over and over and over and over again, trying to get a single good run going. Multiple runs were ruined by the fact alone that when you grab the emerald key, an enemy somewhere, I'm not even sure where, dies and forces me to restart the entire level. I don't know where he is, I don't know what the trigger is. Every time I take that key, someone dies, and I get blood. Eventually, I made it to the spiked ceiling room. I'll play it straight here. There is no way we get past this thing. If we somehow avoid killing the archer, he'll get crushed and die. There is a mechanic that lets you slide into enemies and knock them down temporarily, but behind the spiked ceiling is lava, so he would die anyway. Not even mentioning, the combat arena in the last section of this level is impossible. So, I'm sorry to say that level 4 is fully unbeatable bloodless. Unless we jump out a window again. That's right, all that hardship can be avoided if you just jump out the window in the room with the enemies I had you remember. The exit area is open to the outside, so by navigating the dark exterior of the map, we can sail right to the finish line without having to do any of the hard stuff. Level 4 done. Level 5 is the exact opposite in scope to level 4. 4 is all about tight corridors and narrow hallways, whereas level 5 is an incredibly large open area. The goal of level 5 is to collect 2 keys on opposite sides of the map to open a doorway forwards. By collecting these keys, we open the locked door and proceed to the next area. There are standard fare enemies here, but a new enemy type is soon revealed. I'm not sure what their technical name is, so I'm just going to call them slammers. Slammers slam the ground and cause a shock wave, making jumping and wall running a necessity. We continue past the 2 slammers, soon coming to another enemy type. These guys are brutal. They shoot non-stop projectiles until they have to cool down, and can only be reached by air dashing or wall jumping. It also doesn't help that this room is arena locked. Beyond him is 3 more slammers and the finish. It's a fairly large level, but simple overall. Most of the level isn't all that difficult to do. Get past enemies, collect some keys, head up the ramps, dodge the enemies, all the usual stuff we've done so far. However, this flying guy is a run killer. I'm sure you noticed it before, but there's a window behind him. The intended method for this is to air dash into him and get through the window, which hides a secret crossbow. However, his projectiles are too fast and too plentiful to actually be able to get past, at least with my skill level. I could see a world where fates align and you slip through the window successfully, but it is incredibly difficult. So let's look for another way. If we go back to the room before this enemy, we're able to jump up onto the roof of the building. By following it all the way to the end, we're able to hop down into the end zone yet again, finishing off level 5 clean. The final level. It's also the longest one in the game, so the initial description of the run-through will have to be a little more in-depth than usual. This level puts everything we've learned up until now to the test. Our goal is to once again collect 2 keys on different sides of the map. Our initial choice is to go left or right. We go right to find platforms atop a lava lake. Navigating through this leads to a ramp with a low ceiling, some more lava platforms, and a section that makes level 4 look like baby food. 3 archers and 3 spike ceilings. The obvious benefit of this area is there's ample room on the sides to go around these obstacles. After this is a room with 2 enemies and some blood floors, followed by a triple slammer ramp into a combat arena. There is a key behind the main door that only opens once all these enemies are dead, as per our usual luck. We grab the key and fall back into the main chapel area and head the opposite way this time. This leads down into a large ramp section, ending in a platform with moving spike walls, only this time, they're coming at us. By tactically dodging and avoiding the arrows from the nearby archer, we can make it through the pipe into the next area. This room's key is locked behind a door that will only open once we've killed all the flying skeleton monsters in this room. We grab the key and head back up to the main area again. We go through the locked door into another large ramp area, only this time the ceiling is collapsing and there are spikes all over it. We jump at the end of the ramp, landing on another section and jumping again to land in front of a large door. The final level ends with a huge combat arena with multiple waves of every type of enemy we've seen so far, including the flying guys from earlier. Once they're all dead, the doors open and we can end the level. I'm not going to waste your time by pretending to even act like this is normally possible. The only real question now is how much do we have to skip? Both of the initial keys are locked behind arenas, and the huge spiked ceiling ramp kills the enemies above us, giving us blood. So basically, we need to find a way to get to the end of the level immediately, or even better, just jump to the finish like usual. By heading down the ramp with the archer in front of it, we can use some wall jumping to get outside the map. By taking a very specific path, otherwise the spiked ceiling will trigger and kill the enemies below, we can make it all the way to the final arena. If the finish was open to the outside, we could even jump straight to the end. Except, the finish isn't open to the outside. It's locked inside a room that only opens after you kill everything before it. Which is where I must reveal a sad truth. It is not possible to beat Bloodthief bloodless. Trust me that I've tried countless ways. I've wasted so much time trying to bypass the door by going in fast enough, going around the back, going out of the map, and it's just not possible right now. Yet. All that stands in the way of making this run possible is a discovery. This game is all about speed, and I'm positive that someone will make a discovery allowing us to bypass this final door and enter the end of the level. The Bloodthief Discord is a growing community that are working on optimizing the game right now. If you join, you could be the person to discover how to truly beat this game bloodless. I appreciate you joining me on this adventure. This was a huge effort to create, so I would really appreciate it if you could like the video, subscribe to my channel for future videos like this, and comment below. Let me know if you have any ideas on getting past the final door. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.